Hello students, welcome to Legacy IAS Academy. In today's video, we are going to discuss about third largest continent of the world, that is North America. So North America, in this video we are going to discuss about the major mountain ranges, major river systems and other important geographical features of this particular continent, which I believe is going to be very helpful for the people who are attempting prelims examination this year, especially for the mapping series, and not even for this year but even for the next year and following years. You can find this particular video very useful in nature. So before going into details about the geographical features of this continent, let us try to understand some important points about this continent. As we discussed before, it is the third largest continent in the world. Overall, it is extending all the way from north. In north, you have Greenland, that is territory of Denmark, that is also part of North American continent. Then as you can see, you have Bering Sea, then you have Beaufort Sea, you have Baffin Bay, Labrador Sea, and then all the way extending further to the Caribbean Sea. That is the north to south extent of this particular continent. Also, if you talk about the narrowest part of this continent, you will find near Panama, where the continent is just 50 kilometers across. However, in the western part, you can see the continent is thousands of kilometers spanning across. Now, if we try to divide the North America into geographical region, we can divide into 5 major regions. The first is the mountainous region, which is situated in the western part of the continent. Second is the plain, that is situated on the eastern side of these mountains. And then to the north, you have the Canada. Canada is the northernmost country of this continent. So Canadian Shield, which is one of the oldest rock system of the earth. That is Precambrian era, we can say. The rock that has developed here belongs to the Precambrian time period that makes up the entire Canadian Shield. You have eastern region that has a variety of feature extending all the way from the Canada to the North America, Canada to USA and further to Mexico. For example, you have Appalachian mountain range, you have the river basins, you have the deltas, river deltas, especially like Mississippi, Missouri river delta. Further you have Gulf, such as Gulf of Mexico. And then further to the Caribbean Sea, where you have a group of islands collectively referred as the Caribbean Islands. So Mexico and Central America's western coast, basically if you look at a map again, are connected to the mountainous west, while the lowlands and coastal plains extends into the eastern region. And this point will become clear if you look at the map of physical map of North America. So as you can see, this is your Mexico. And Mexico is connected to the North America, upper part of North America through the mountain ranges. And western part is nothing but a mountain range actually, starting all the way from Alaska range in the north. Then you have the Mackenzie Mountains here. Then further you have the Rocky Mountain range. Then you have further Cascade Mountain range. You have the Coastal range. Then you have further Sierra Madre Mountain range. So these are the 5-6 major mountain ranges that span across the entire western coast of the continent. And on the eastern coast of the continent, you have again one other mountain range that is called as Appalachian Mountain range. You have Gulf of Mexico here, and then several rivers flows out into Gulf of Mexico, forming a fertile river delta like features in this area. Now, if you take a look at the major mountains of North America, the first mountain that comes into our mind is obviously the Rockies Mountain. Rockies Mountain is the longest mountain range in North America that spans for almost 4,800 kilometers from north to south. To understand this, if you compare it to the Himalayas, Himalayas are spanning for a distance of almost 2,500 kilometers from the west to east. So almost 2 times longer than the entire Himalayan mountain range is the Rockies Mountain. The overall extent of the mountain, as you can see from this picture here, the upper part, the northernmost part is in the Canada, and it begins from a river flowing in Canada that is called as Liard River. And in the south, it terminates in another country, that is Mexico, and in New Mexico, that is a city of USA, the state of USA basically, and there a river flows out that is called as Pecos River. So from Liard River in the north to Pecos River in the south, that is how we can define the north-south extent of the longest mountain range of North America, Rockies. if you try to understand the formation of this mountain, what is the age of this mountain? So, it is believed by geographers that it must have formed somewhere between 55 to 80 million years ago in a phase of orogeny, that is mountain building process, mountain building phase, which is referred or identified as a Laramide orogeny. So, that is how we can define the Rockies. However, if you look at the geology of the Rockies, we can understand that the formation of this mountain has happened due to a plate convergence when the Pacific Ocean plate has converged to the North American continental plate, and due to this the denser Pacific Ocean plate subducted below the North American plate. This subduction resulted into formation of magma. This magma then erupted through the entire continental plate, forming a chain of mountain peaks, and that developed gradually into a mountain range. Now, in Rockies, the highest peak you should know is Mount Elbert, which is situated at an altitude of 4,400 meters. And in Rockies, you will also find one of the most important local winds on the earth. These are called as Chinook winds. So, basically, let us suppose this is the Rockies. So, coming from the Pacific Ocean, the warm and moist wind rises up, and then further it descends down, it gets warmer, and after that it flows through the plains, the great plains of North America, and there these winds are referred as Chinook wind. Chinook wind are also called as snow eater winds because it flows in the late spring, and due to warmer nature it causes rapid melting of the snow that has accumulated to the entire plain in the early winter. So, snow eater winds very important for the agricultural purposes as well as the animal rearing purposes. The second important mountain range we can identify here, and this is the location, it is called as Sierra Nevada mountain ranges. Sierra Nevada mountain range is situated between the Central Valley of California that you see here, which is also referred as San Joaquin Valley. This is the California coast, and this is the California coast. This is some important cities as San Francisco, San Jose, and then you have San Joaquin Valley, and then you have the Sierra Nevada mountain range, and further to the east you have the Great Basin, and that is the location of Sierra Nevada. Length and width of this mountain range is about 640 kilometers and 80 kilometers, with Mount Whitney being one of the major important peak, which is the highest peak of this range as well, at an elevation of 4,421 meters. Now, in this Sierra Nevada mountain range, you will also find a lake which is considered as the largest alpine lake of North America. Largest alpine lake means such lakes which are situated at elevation of greater than or higher than 3,000 meters. So, Lake Tahoe is such kind of lake, and several tribes, Red Indian tribes, are residing in this particular mountain range as well. The third important mountain range that you will see are located on the eastern coast of North America, extending all the way from Canada and then further going to the USA, is the Appalachian Mountain, which is very old mountain, formed somewhere about 480 million years ago in what we call as the Ordovician period of Earth's geological history. Newfoundland to central Alabama for an extent of almost we can say 2,400 kilometers, that is the north-south extent of Appalachian Mountain, and here Mount Mitchell, situated in North Carolina state of USA at an altitude of 2,037 meter, is the highest peak of this Appalachian mountain ranges. Now, most importantly, you should know that Appalachian mountain is well known for its mineral reserve, especially abundant coal reserve. Not only abundant coal reserve, but actually the highest quality of coal, which is referred as anthracite coal, is found in the Appalachian mountain. And nearby you also have Great Lakes region that we have discussed yesterday when we talk about the major lakes of the world. So, between Great Lakes and Appalachian, you will find numerous iron steel industry. Region is simple. In Great Lakes you have iron ore and limestone, and in the Appalachian you have coal, and these three are the major raw material required for steel production. Now, also if you try to relate, in the Africa there is a mountain called as Little Atlas. It is situated in Morocco region of Africa. So, why we are discussing about African mountain in the North American mountain? The answer is simple. Actually, when the entire continental landmass of the world were connected together to form a supercontinent called as Pangaea, that time the Appalachian mountain of North America actually were connected or actually are part of a single mountain range, of which Little Atlas today we can find in Morocco. So basically, due to splitting of the continent, continental drift theory you might have studied in geography, what has happened? Appalachian has went to the west and is located in North America today, while Atlas is split it out and is located in Africa today. Also, it acts as a barrier to the east-west travel, and the overall topography of this mountain is in kind of ridge and valley topography. So this kind of area that you see, these are the ridge of the mountains, and in between the ridge, as you are seeing, between several mountain ranges, you have the valleys. So ridge valley, this kind of topography is something that you will find in the Appalachian mountain range. The next is Alaska mountain range, located in the northernmost part of USA, the 50th state of USA, Alaska, and this is the location of Alaska range, as you can see from here. It's spread over the southern part of Alaska, looking out to the Gulf of Alaska. This mountain range is 650 kilometers long, and it is this mountain where you will find the highest peak of the entire North American continent. The highest peak of entire North American continent is called as Mount McKinley after the founder, and the older name is Mount Denali. So Mount McKinley or Denali, located at an altitude of 6,190 meter, the highest peak, the tallest peak of the North America continent, and also it is part of Pacific Ring of Fire. If you have studied volcanism, you might have come across this term Ring of Fire. It refers to the entire Pacific Ocean being surrounded by volcanic regions, volcanic mountains, volcanic plateaus, and all that because of the plate tectonics. So that is the important things you should remember about Alaska mountain range. Now, as you further move to the southern part, that is southern eastern part of the southern western part of USA, three important deserts you will find here. These deserts are Mojave Desert, Sonoran Desert, and Chihuahuan Desert. All these three deserts are basically formed due to rain shadow effect. Rain shadow effect we have discussed when we talk about the South American continent, that if suppose this is a mountain range, if a wind, warm and moist wind is coming here like this, it is forced to rise up along this slope, and then it is descending further on the other slope. So when the wind is rising up, obviously it will result into condensation, cloud formation, and further heavy rainfall. While on the other slope, when the wind is descending, it is warming up, thus no condensation, no cooling, no rainfall, and this region will receive very less to no rainfall. And that is why this other slope of the mountain is referred as rain shadow zone. And the desert obviously is nothing but it is the desert that is formed in the rain shadow zone of the mountain ranges, such as the Sonoran Desert is located in the rain shadow range of the zone of coast ranges, coast mountain range, Mojave in the rain shadow zone of the Sierra Nevada ranges, and Chihuahuan in the Sierra Madre range. So that is how we can understand, explain this desert formation here. Now last we can take a look at the important rivers of North America. The important rivers are Columbia River, Colorado River, Mississippi River, Missouri River, and St. Lawrence River. And further flowing in the Mexico, you have the Rio Grande River. These are the 6 major rivers that you can find in the North American continent. So let us discuss about them one by one. First of all, if you look at the Colorado River, it originates from the Rocky Mountains. Actually, there is a pass, and near this pass you have a lake. This is called as La Poudre Pass Lake in the Colorado. The source is situated at an elevation of about 3,100 meters, and then after flowing through the states such as Colorado, then Utah, then further you have Arizona, finally the river discharged itself into the Gulf of California near Mexico. The length of river is almost 2,334 km, and the basin of this river is spread over an area of almost 637,000 square kilometer. Now the Colorado River is well known for forming multiple canyons in its course, and over the centuries it has formed several canyons, the most notable being, which is also considered as the largest canyon of the world, is the Grand Canyon in northern Arizona. It is formed by this particular river actually. Also, the river has more than 30 electric power plants along its run, as well as dozens of dams and reservoir, which leads to development of hydroelectricity in this particular area of North America. The second important river is Columbia River, which is a wide, fast flowing river. And if you look at the map here, the Columbia River originating somewhere from the British Columbia region of Canada and then discharging itself into the Pacific Ocean. So, the source is Canadian Rockies of southeast British Columbia, flowing south through the states of Washington and then discharging into the Pacific Ocean after flowing for a length of 1857 km. Now, in Columbia River, several hydroelectric power plants have been developed as well, same like in Colorado River. So, on the positive side, obviously, it has led to the availability of inexpensive electricity to the people living in these areas, but on the negative side, it has severely affected the salmon spawning, which is a local fish. The salmon spawning as well as the local fish migration has been severely affected in this river. The third river we can discuss, which is an important river in Canada actually, is Mackenzie River, which is also the longest river in Canada and dissects the northwest territory of the Canada. Length is almost 1800 km, and actually while flowing through the Canadian region, it receives water from several tributaries such as Slave River, Peace River and Finlay River, and then it extends to 4240 km, becoming the second largest river in North America after Mississippi Missouri river system. Mouth is Mackenzie Bay, that is in the Beaufort Sea, as you can see in the upper part nearby Arctic region. You have the Beaufort Sea, so that is where the river discharged itself. The river is called as Mackenzie River after its founder Alexander Mackenzie, who discovered this historic river, and along its path are thick green forest and dozens of major freshwater lakes that you will find. Now, coming to the longest river of North America, which is second longest river actually, that is part of Mississippi Missouri river system. So, it is a major river of North America and United States. Length is 3765 km, and as you can see, this is from the Minnesota state of US. The river originates and then it keeps flowing through several states such as Wisconsin, Iowa and Illinois, and then it meets with the other river, that is Missouri River, and after that it takes water from the Ohio River also, and then taking up water from the Missouri and Ohio. As you can see, the water volume suddenly increases in the river, and then further it discharges itself into the Gulf of Mexico just below the notable city of New Orleans, that is part of USA. Now, Mississippi River is also considered as a significant transportation artery of inland navigation, inland waterway transportation of USA, when especially combined with its major tributaries, and thus it becomes the third largest river system in the world, especially with a length of 6236 kilometers. So, very important river. And when it discharges itself into Gulf of Mexico, it forms a delta, and the shape of delta resembles the foot of a bird, and that is why the term bird foot delta is something that we use in geography as well. Then next river we have is the St. Lawrence River, which originate from the Lake Ontario. As you can see, these are the 5 lakes which are collectively referred as the Great Lakes of North America: Superior, Michigan, Huron, Erie, and last is Ontario. So, St. Lawrence River originates from Lake Ontario and then flows outward in Atlantic Ocean to the Gulf of St. Lawrence, and length is 1225 kilometers. However, this is a very vital river for the economic perspective, from the economic point of view of North America, because this river allows or permits the passage of deep water ships that between the Atlantic Ocean and the Great Lakes. And as we have discussed, numerous industries, iron steel industry, paper and pulp industry, all these are developed in these areas. So, it helps them in both export as well as import purposes. It includes a series of thus man-made canals, locks and dams, and is considered one of the most vital shipping routes on the planet. In other way, we can say that it is the economic lifeline of the entire North American continent, because it has a strategic location also at the border of US and Canada. Then the longest river of the United States we have is Missouri River. Length is 4023 km, originating again from the Rocky Mountains, as you can see from here. The state here is called as Montana. So, in the Montana, to the southern part of Montana from the Rockies mountain, the river originates and then flows north, then further turns southeast across the heart of the United States, ending at the Mississippi River just to the north of St. Louis, Missouri. As we discussed before also, Mississippi originating from Minnesota, then flows like this. Then you have the Missouri, it meets it here to the north of St. Louis, and after they receive water from another river here, that is Ohio River, and then they flow together in a common stream before discharging themselves in a shape of Birdfoot Delta. So, Missouri River, a very, very important river. And then last we can discuss a river flowing through the Mexico region. It is one of the longest river in North America. The length is almost 3034 km. The river in USA is referred as Rio Grande, while in Mexico local people call this river also as Rio Bravo del Norte. So, this river actually originates from, as you can see, Rocky Mountains, and in Rocky Mountains a small mountain is there, peak is there, that is called as San Juan Mountains. So, San Juan Mountains of southern Colorado, it forms a natural border, as you can see, between Texas, which is a state of USA, and the country, that is Mexico, as it flows to the southeast. So, this you can see El Paso, you might have heard this in news, El Paso, the pass. This is one of the major transit route for the illegal immigrants if they want to cross into USA illegally via Mexico border. That is the pass, and here it is forming a natural frontier between Texas and Texas and Mexico before discharging itself out into the Gulf of Mexico. Now, the river water is used for drinking purposes by both the countries, and it is becoming more polluted, however, because of the population centers that is growing along the entire bank of the river, and due to this increase in sudden population, a large volume of sewage pesticides are being dumped into this river, and this has increased the pollution level of this river. So, it is very vital that the restoration work is conducted here, because it is a lifeline for many people living in this particular area. So, that is all about the major important mountains, rivers and geography of the North America. Thank you very much.